We've all been there, staring at a blank page, a mountain of laundry, or an inbox overflowing with unanswered emails. The deadline looms, a tiny menacing dot on the horizon, yet we find ourselves scrolling through social media, watching just one more episode, or suddenly deciding that now is the perfect time to alphabetize our spice rack. This is the universal dance of procrastination, a human experience so common it's practically a rite of passage. But have you ever stopped to wonder why we do it? Why do we knowingly and willingly sabotage our future selves, trading long-term peace for a few fleeting moments of immediate relief? The answer isn't simply laziness or a lack of discipline. The real reasons are buried deep within our psychology, a complex web of emotions, evolutionary wiring, and cognitive biases that conspire to keep us stuck. It's a story about our brains, our fears, and our fundamental struggle with time itself. Let's start with the most primal part of our brain, the limbic system. This isn't the sophisticated, planning-obsessed prefrontal cortex. This is the ancient, emotional, pleasure-seeking part of us. It operates on what psychologists call the pleasure principle, an instinctual drive to seek immediate gratification and avoid pain. When you're faced with a task that's difficult, boring, or anxiety-inducing, like studying for a major exam or preparing a complex report for work, your limbic system sounds the alarm. It registers the task as a threat, a source of negative feelings. In that moment, your brain sees a choice: do the unpleasant thing and feel bad now, or do something enjoyable, like watching a funny cat video, and feel good now. For the limbic system, which evolved to react to immediate dangers and rewards, the choice is obvious. It hijacks your intentions, screaming, danger, avoid, seek pleasure. The cat video wins, and the report is pushed to later. This internal battle is what's known as present bias. Our brain's natural tendency to prioritize our present self's comfort over our future self's well-being. Your future self, the one who has to pull an all-nighter fueled by caffeine and regret, is an abstract concept. Your present self, who just wants to avoid the discomfort of starting, is very, very real. This emotional tug-of-war is the core of procrastination. It's not a time management problem. It's an emotion regulation problem. Dr. Tim Paichio, a leading researcher in the field, argues that we procrastinate to cope with challenging emotions and negative moods induced by a specific task. Think about it. The task itself might be associated with feelings of anxiety about your performance, fear of failure, or even fear of success and the expectations that come with it. It could be resentment that you have to do the task at all, or boredom so profound it feels physically painful. Procrastination becomes a quick fix, a mood repair strategy. By putting the task off, you temporarily put off the negative emotions associated with it. That feeling of relief you get when you decide, "I'll do it tomorrow," is a powerful, albeit temporary, reward. Your brain learns that avoidance leads to feeling better in the short term, reinforcing the behavior and creating a vicious cycle. The problem, of course, is that the task doesn't disappear. It waits for you, gathering more stress and anxiety like a snowball rolling downhill, making it even harder to start the next time. Furthermore, the very nature of the tasks we procrastinate on often feeds into our psychological vulnerabilities. Abstract or unstructured goals are a procrastinator's kryptonite. When a task is vaguely defined, like get in shape or write a novel, our brain doesn't know where to start. This ambiguity is overwhelming. Where is the first step? What does done even look like? This lack of clarity triggers analysis paralysis. Instead of breaking the task down into small, concrete, manageable actions, we just see a giant, intimidating monolith. Faced with this, our brains default to avoidance. Conversely, a task that is broken down into walk for 15 minutes today or write 200 words of the first chapter feels achievable. It gives our prefrontal cortex, the logical part of our brain, a clear instruction to follow, making it easier to override the limbic system's emotional freakout. The value of the reward also matters. If the payoff for completing a task is far in the future, like the eventual feeling of accomplishment from finishing a degree, its value is discounted in our minds. The immediate reward of escaping the task feels much more potent. Our own self-perception plays a massive role in this drama. For many, procrastination is deeply intertwined with a fear of failure. If you secretly worry that you aren't smart enough or skilled enough to succeed at a task, procrastination becomes a form of self-protection. By not trying your best, by leaving it to the last minute, you create a built-in excuse. If you fail, you can tell yourself, "Well, of course I didn't do well. I only had a few hours to work on it." You protect your ego by attributing the failure to a lack of time and effort, not a lack of ability. This self-handicapping strategy shields you from confronting the painful possibility that you might have tried your best and still fallen short. In a twisted way, it feels safer to fail because you didn't really try it and to risk failing after giving it your all. Perfectionism is the other side of this same coin. Perfectionists set impossibly high standards for themselves, and the pressure to meet those standards can be paralyzing. The fear that their work won't be flawless can be so intense that it's easier not to start at all. The blank page remains blank because any word they write down might not be the perfect word. So how do we break free from this cycle? The solution isn't to find a better planner or a new productivity app, though those can help. The first step is to practice self-compassion. Berating yourself for procrastinating only adds more negative emotions to the pile, making you more likely to procrastinate in the future to escape those feelings of guilt and shame. Instead, recognize that you're procrastinating not because you're lazy, but because some part of you is struggling with a difficult emotion. Acknowledge the fear, the anxiety, or the boredom without judgment. This is a human thing. The next step is to make the task less daunting. Break it down into ridiculously small steps. Instead of write the report, your first step could be open the document or write one sentence. This is often called the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. The goal is to build momentum and prove to your brain that starting is as painful as it imagines. Another powerful strategy is to forgive yourself for past procrastination. One study found that students who forgave themselves for procrastinating on studying for an initial exam were less likely to procrastinate on the next one. Forgiveness helps break the cycle of avoidance and self-blame. It's also crucial to manage your environment. If you know that your phone is your go-to distraction, put it in another room when you need to focus. Make your desired action the path of least resistance and your procrastination habits more difficult to engage in. Finally, connect with your future self. Instead of seeing your future self as a stranger, try to empathize with them. Visualize how relieved and proud they will feel if you just take a small step today. Write a letter to your future self. This simple act of imagination can make the long-term rewards feel more tangible and immediate, giving your prefrontal cortex more ammunition in its battle against the impulsive limbic system. Procrastination is not a character flaw. It is a deeply ingrained human tendency rooted in the way our brains are wired to process emotion and time. By understanding the psychology behind why we do it, we can stop fighting a war against ourselves and start working with our own minds, using compassion and clever strategies to gently guide ourselves toward action. And in doing so, we can finally close the gap between intention and action and get things done, which is a very human style and a very human example and a very human life.